Episode 3, An Unexpected Ally. Feeling depressed, Peter decided to go web swinging across New York to ease his mind. Nothing beats the freedom of swinging freely without any restrictions, Peter thought to himself. The only troubling matter is that Peter can only go web swinging at night, as he is still considered a criminal for his actions of killing Norman. Peter thought to himself whether there is any good in keeping up the Spider-Man mantle as crime rates were lower than usual, and with the Goblin gone, maybe he could for once live a life like any other normal kid. Peter decided to go on his night patrols to have a clearer mind. As he was patrolling, he saw several armored cars and motorcycles on the street heading toward Oscorp Tower. He thought it was the police at first, but saw that there were no police sirens. Feeling suspicious, Spidey tailed the cars. His spider sense tingled, and he knew something was amiss. His hunch was right when shots were fired from the cars. Spidey dodged the bullets and managed to web one of the car's wheels, stopping it. Spidey saw several men dressed in 1940s gangster outfits opening fire on him, and knew that it was the Magia. Easily defeating the goons, Spidey webbed one of the goons and wanted to know more information on why they were there. Before he was able to get any more information, he felt a sharp pain towards his back and was thrown towards one of the cars. Feeling dizzy, he turned around and saw it was the Hammerhead staring him down. Hammerhead proclaimed that he is the new big man of New York City. As Hammerhead was gloating about himself, Spidey took the opportunity to web one of his goons and threw them at him. Hammerhead was sent crashing into the armored car, and Spidey was about to web him up when he was stunned by several pumpkin bombs that blinded him. Unable to get a clear view of his enemies, Spidey felt a sharp kick towards his stomach and could not stand up. He saw that it was someone who resembled the Goblin, but he knew that the Goblin was dead. The Goblin then claimed that he is the Hobgoblin. Hammerhead was about to retaliate against the Hobgoblin, but was stopped by him. The Hobgoblin took Spidey and pummeled him into the ground several times before breaking his left arm. Peter screamed in agony and fainted from the pain. The Hobgoblin looked upon Peter's body and laughed at him. "Who is the superior one now, Spider-Man?" The Hobgoblin told Hammerhead that he wants Spider-Man, and in return, he will provide the necessary weaponry of Oscorp to the Hammerhead. Feeling that both sides would benefit from this deal, Hammerhead agrees and told his goons to back off. Before Hammerhead and his henchmen could leave the scene, several of his henchmen were headshot. More shots followed, and his henchmen ran, cowering in fear. Unable to pinpoint where the shot was originating, the Hobgoblin decided to retreat for now, as he still had many questions unanswered. Hammerhead and the Hobgoblin retreated from the scene, leaving Spider-Man's body near the armored car. Spidey could see a tall figure with white paint across his chest approaching him. He tried to muster the strength to web the tall figure, but passed out. A few hours later, Spidey is woken up in an underground bunker. He looked to the right and saw that his arm was in a cast. He groaned in pain as he tried to get out of bed. A bearded man came to him and told him to stay still. Spidey decided to abide by his instructions and rested. He heard the bearded man telling someone that he was woken. Peter saw a man entering the room with a large white skeleton logo across his vest. He had several guns and knives strapped around his waist. Peter remembered coming across the media on a lone person who exterminated criminals and has a large white skeleton across his vest. The lone person began his crusade after his entire family was slaughtered by the Magia during a shootout. The man was introduced himself as the Punisher. Peter was frightened at first that the Punisher might gun him down or that his identity has been revealed. Punisher then reassured Peter that his mask was not removed, and that he had no intention to kill Spider-Man. After all, he went through the trouble of saving Spidey. When Peter asked the Punisher why he was saved, the Punisher told him that he knows that Spidey is a righteous hero, and that the death of the Goblin was the right decision. "Scums like Goblin deserve to die and not live," the Punisher added. Punisher said that he received intel that the Magia wanted to storm Oscorp to steal the high-tech weaponry and decided to ambush them. But before he could do that, Spidey was at the scene, and the Punisher decided to see from afar what would unfold. The rest is history. The Punisher added that he respects Spidey's code of honor as a hero, which was why he didn't remove the mask. The bearded man re-entered the room and gave Peter some water before introducing himself as Microchip, who is Punisher's ally in supplying him with key intel on the criminal organizations. The Punisher and Microchip did not believe in Jonah Jameson and his media that Spider-Man is a menace. Peter thanked them both and left for home in a cab as his right arm was still in a cast. Episode 4: The Spider Slayer Strikes. Elsewhere, back at the Goblin Armory, Harry was looking in the mirror and thought to himself on how close he was to find the answers to his father's death. His face had been grazed by a bullet from the Punisher's sniper. Harry took the Goblin's serum and injected himself with it to ease his pain. He vowed that the next time he and Spidey would clash, he would find the truth. The next day at school, Peter came to school with a cast for his right arm, much to the shock of Gwen. Gwen asked Peter what happened, but Peter merely brushed aside and told her that he fell from his bike while cycling for groceries. Harry greeted both Peter and Gwen at their classroom. They were shocked to see Harry being cheerful and like his usual self. When they asked what happened to Harry, he merely told them that he felt it's about time to move on. Harry saw Peter's arm in a cast and asked him what happened. Peter said that he fell from his bike while cycling. Peter's arm raised some suspicion to Harry, but Harry pretended to brush it aside and told Peter that they should hang out sometime soon. Later that day, Harry returned to the Goblin Chamber to improvise his hobgoblin armor. He noticed that the door to his father's room at Oscorp was open. Entering the room carefully, he saw a cleaning lady cleaning his father's desk. They both greeted each other, and the cleaning lady told Harry that he was on the right path to emulate his father's success as the Goblin. Harry was shocked and pretended to ignore what the cleaning lady said. The cleaning lady assured him not to worry and removed her mask. She revealed herself as the Chameleon. The Chameleon told him that he wishes to destroy Spider-Man for shaming him in their last battles. He revealed that he impersonated Felicia Hardy, Norman's past secretary. He also told Harry that it was he who sent the email asking him to come to Oscorp. The Chameleon told Harry that he is not capable of defeating Spider-Man alone, and he needs his help as the Hobgoblin to defeat Spider-Man. The Chameleon told Harry that he would contact him for their plan to defeat Spider-Man. The next day at the Daily Bugle, Jonah Jameson met with a scientist, Professor Spencer Smith, who proposed an idea of a robot that can defeat Spider-Man. Spencer demonstrated that the robot was able to shoot out steel tentacles at the hint of a spider's presence. Jonah realized that this was his golden opportunity to take down Spider-Man himself. He decided to back Spencer's robot funding and call it the Spider Slayer. Jonah was given the remote control to the Spider Slayer, and they both agreed to a deal. Peter was walking home from school when he encountered a snatch theft. Decided to chase after the thief, Peter donned his Spider-Man's costume and followed the thief. Coincidentally, Jonah and Spencer were exiting the Daily Bugle after they agreed on their deal when they saw Spider-Man swinging across town, chasing after the thief. Realizing that this is a great opportunity to capture Spider-Man with the Spider Slayer, Jonah activated the Spider Slayer and chased after Peter. Peter managed to web the thief's bike, causing it to skid across the road. He then webbed the thief up to a pole and was about to return the stolen bag to the victim when his spider senses tingled. His leg was caught by one of the tentacles of the Spider Slayer, and Peter couldn't escape. Adding salt to the wound, his right arm was still in pain due to the past battle with the Hobgoblin. Both Smith and Jameson rushed to locate the robot and wanted to unmask Spider-Man when they saw that he was overpowered by the Spider Slayer. Jameson grinned at himself and thought this would be the day where Spider-Man's true identity is known to the world. He figured that with such an achievement, he may even have a spot among the Avengers. However, Spider-Man relied on his wits and searched for the power box on the Spider Slayer. He figured by switching the power box, he could deactivate the Spider Slayer, freeing him from the tentacles. Spidey saw a red button on the back of the Spider Slayer and tried his luck to smash the button. Lady Luck was on his side, as Spider-Man successfully switched the Spider Slayer down. Jameson was devastated to see that he came up empty-handed. Spider-Man destroyed the Spider Slayer and left the bag for the police when he heard the police sirens approaching. Spencer vowed to develop a stronger and more advanced Spider Slayer to defeat Spider-Man in the future. Peter thought to himself that it would not be a bad idea to develop a spider tracker that would allow him to track the location of others where the tracker is. Despite Harry looking happy at school with Peter and Gwen, in reality, he was suffering from depression and on the brink of a mental breakdown. He knew that things were not going well between him and Gwen. He wondered why Gwen still acted like they were still in a relationship when he knew that Gwen has already harbored feelings for Peter. Harry was also suffering from the side effects of the Goblin Serum that he injected in himself to ease his pain and make him stronger. He started hearing more voices like, "With great power comes great reward," and "Come, my child, it's time for us to destroy Spider-Man." Harry regretted not unmasking Spider-Man during their previous battle. He wondered why Peter's arm was in a cast, and Peter had several bruises on his body when he saw him at school. Harry thought to himself, what if Peter, his best friend, was Spider-Man? He thought that the idea was absurd, and he started to hear those voices again. Harry decided to inject himself with another dose of Goblin Serum and passed out on the couch.